What's up, everybody? This is Tony from Metal Recon. I'm here today with Hannah and Alan Maddox, the lead singer and lead guitarist for Scarlet Canary. I was lucky enough to get to see you guys whenever I was out in Colorado Springs at the Black Sheep, and I was like, wow, we really need to have you guys talk about the band and everything to get more people to hear your guys' music. So if you don't mind, give everybody like a little background about Scarlet Canary, where you're from, and things like that.
Yeah. There's only two original members of Scarlet Canary left. Me and Alan are the two originals. We started the band. Well, Alan started the band with his college roommate, a guy named Tyler Perkins, and he actually died a couple of years ago of cancer, which is super horrible. But he was a really great dude, and he lived way more in his 22 years than I think we even have. So. Anyway, so yeah, it's just me and Alan. We're the only original members left, and we actually started as a 3 Days Grace cover band.
Oh,
which
cool.
is, yeah.
Basically, Tyler Parkins was my roommate in college, and I was in the music school, and I dropped out of the music school because it was kind of sucking the fun out of guitar. And Tyler calls me one day, he's like, Alan, I need a guitar player for my 3 Days Grace cover band. And all we were playing were house parties. So we got that going, and then Tyler and I started writing, and at the time we had a vocalist that was super mediocre, and Hannah and I we've known each other since elementary school. I was like, hey, actually this girl I'm dating has an incredible voice, at least she could fill in for a few of the parties. And it started as a fill-in, and then we eventually started writing together. And now, even after Tyler's passed on, we've kept the band fresh and touring, and at least partially do it in his honor. The rest is we're just obsessed with music, and you know how it is, the dream, right?
Right, yeah.
That's where the start was.
So, to Marcus McGowan, he's from Alabama, right?
Yeah, he's the newest member of the band. The drummer who'd been with us for the first 3 years of the band left because he's got a girlfriend. He wants a real job. He got tired of living in a van with us, which I totally get. It's awful.
Right.
But Marcus, it's kind of cool. We chose him mostly for his dedication. He's a killer drummer, but he came out to Colorado in a metalcore band that was promised some kind of management deal.
Yeah.
And as it happens in the music industry, they've been kind of taken advantage of. He sold everything he had to move out here to play drums. The management label fell through, the band fell all the pieces, and Marcus was left with no possessions and a drum kit. So he put the drum kit in storage and then busked playing pots and pans on 16th Street down in Denver until he had enough money to get back on his feet. And we're the first band that's picked him up since he was homeless playing drums in Colorado.
Wow.
Now he has a job again, and he's back in an apartment. We were like, that's kind of the person we're looking for, someone who wants to play music, not worry about money and record labels and things like that. So then Marcos, the bass player, we met him. He was playing in a metalcore band that we performed with a couple of years ago. And when we were on a look for a new bass player, I don't really like using Craigslist to find band members. It just generally doesn't pan out. So I was looking for bands that we played with that we liked that were no longer functioning, and Marcos was one of those. His band Between Suns and Seasons had just broken up. He was looking for a band that wanted to be a little more serious about this, and he's been probably one of the greatest assets we've picked up, being in the band just over a year now. Our newest album, Arise, which was most of the music you saw at the Black Sheep performance, Marcos is maybe one of the main writers, and he really took to the role.
Who does most of your writing for you guys?
Well, I mean, we all do our different parts. Like our normal writing process is, Alan and Marcos will get together and they'll kind of come up with a riff, or I'll come to them with lyrics and kind of like an idea of what a song could be. Like, I'll give them buzzwords like, this sounds dark and ominous, or
right.
This song feels like Blue to me. It's really stupid, horrible lead singer shit that doesn't even make sense. So they usually start the process by writing a riff or building something, and then once they have something that's kind of skeleton, then they bring it to me and the drummer, and we fill it out. I mean, each of us writes our own parts. Alan writes his guitar parts, Marcos writes his bass parts, I write all the melody lines and lyrics, and Rolltide, he does all of his drum parts. So
one of the songs, "The Death of Rock and Roll," on that album Arise, the first time I listened to it, I hear the death of rock and roll, and then think of, I'm not going to drop names, but artists who continue to say, rock's dead. Actually, one of them recently, people claiming to be rock stars who aren't rock stars, that Corey Taylor called out. But
Goddamn Kanye West.
and
God.
so when I first heard that song, I was like, I wanted to get your guys' take on how you felt, because you can definitely see the irony in the song, and then some of the awesome riffs that Alan you were laying down in that song were just amazing. And I really liked how it all played out, and I could kind of see the irony in the words.
No, I'll be completely honest. We absolutely read the crap out of Revolver magazine and alternative press. Mm-hmm. And the song, I mean, you hear the negative things about the rock industry all the time as well. There's no question that song was inspired by an article we read in alternative press. It was an interview with, I believe it was Paul Stanley, Kiss's guitar player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Discussing how rock and roll was dead and that there's no room for the new superstars out there. And I mean, no question, rock and roll is, probably one of the most struggling genres out there, but it's also got probably some of the most dedicated fans.
I agree.
And we kind of believe another interview that helped inspire the song was one with Rob Zombie. And probably a few years back, it's not in the headlines as much, where Rob Zombie said, I blame the death of rock and roll on the grunge movement. He said in the 1990s, we made it cool for rock stars not to care. Rockers stopped putting on a show, and therefore us not caring, the hip-hop, the indie, the other artists decided to care and put on a show. So he said, we want to write a song that kind of takes from, that irony that rock and roll isn't dead and that there are, no matter all the problems the industry has, the fans are always there. But we also wanted to go back to that idea that a lot of rock bands don't make today a show. So we're like, we want to write a really crowd participation heavy song. We want to write something that maybe embodies the roots of rock and roll, which is where you get kind of that, maybe a little more of a southern guitar riff. You have your typical pentatonic solos, that's the perfect song to slide out on your knees, try to play it with your teeth, We're like, let's capture what made the 80s kind of fun, but let's put it in drop tuning and bring in maybe a little bit more of our southern and metalcore influences and have it.
And the lyrics too, like the lyrics are kind of they're like a double-edged sword in the sense that like, if you take a look at the lyrics, yeah, it is about the death of rock and roll, because it's talking about like how if you want to make it as a local band, you either have money, you know someone, or you struggle for 10 years until you break it big. Those are your options, really, as a local band. And so it's like with the lyrics and stuff, it's all about I'm not going to sell my soul to you. I'm going to play the music I want to play, blah blah blah. But then in the verse or in the chorus, it talks about take your shot now because it's the only one you'll get, and it's both about actually taking a shot of whiskey because whiskey's awesome, and it's taking your shot at music. Don't give up on it. So yeah, it's totally kind of the song. When people look at it and they say, "Oh, the death of rock and roll," I could see how you would have been like, "Oh, it's just another stupid band talking about how rock's dead." But really, honestly, the song is about the exact opposite. It's about how we want to revive the scene, how we want to revive fans and what they think of when they think of rock shows and when they think of, metal acts and stuff like that, and about, not giving up on it and just, giving it your all no matter what. So.
I mean, it's definitely my favorite song off that album. And the other thing that I really enjoyed about the beginning of that song is when you do the little intro, and then he's like, "Are you in the band?" And you do the, "Yeah, I'm in the band." And then I was like, that's awesome, because women being in the front and the lead here lately, and I know that you're a big fan of Maria Brink and Lizzie Hale, and I mean, you can definitely hear Lizzie Hale's like influences on your music. But when I heard that at the beginning, I'm like, you get the death of rock and roll, but at the same time, you also see women and you're stepping up and being the front and in the front of the band and the lead singer of the band, which I think is amazing, and I think it's really come a long way.
Well, yeah, I mean, so basically, once Hailstorm won a freaking Grammy, basically because they have a vagina at the front of their band. I mean, they're awesome. I'm not trying to demean anything, but I mean, that's what made it so important. At least for me, is that this band, this incredible band, this woman who fronted this band, that it wasn't just her. It wasn't it wasn't Lizzie Hale and the Hailstorms. It was Hailstorm. It was a band. It was about being together and making these accomplishments together. And then they won a freaking Grammy, and it just showed. It reiterated everything that's good about female-fronted rockers and what some other pop stars were. Like I said, it's such and such and such and such is. You have to be a band. You have to be a unit, and that's what people want to see, and that's what rock and roll is.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm all about female-fronted rockers. I'm about male rockers too. It's just, especially now because Hailstorm won that Grammy, it's really put a spotlight on women, and I'm just excited that we're in a band during this time, because it's really cool to feel like a part of that group, a part of that family almost of we get paired together with other female-fronted acts, and it's kind of difficult sometimes because they're like, oh, you have a vagina in your band? I'll put another vagina band with you. But it's not like that anymore. Now it's like, oh, you have a girl front of your band? Cool, I've got this other really great band that happens to have a female too, and you guys will pair with each other really well. It's a different take on it, and I love it. It's great. I get to work with a lot of really talented ladies and gals, or guys, so it's great.
The other song I really liked on that album, Arise, was Bottles and Anchors. I wasn't sure how the name fit in, so I wonder if there was like a backstory for that song.
Well, that song is, so it's a really fluffy song, right? It's kind of pop punky influenced, and it's funny that it came out that way because the lyrics, the content, what it's written about, and hence the name, is not fluffy or happy at all. Technically, the song, if you really look at it, what it's about is it's about how alcohol can affect a family life, a family unit. So like mom, dad, kid, right? And how parents drinking, kids drinking, whatever it is, it holds members of the family back, and it holds them back. It's like an anchor. So that's why it's called Bottles and Anchors, and that's why the content, or that's how it applies to the content. But again, like I said, it's a fluffy, fun song, so it's almost like a sarcastic view on it, in the sense that it's like, I don't know, it's not making fun of the situation, but it's like, well, it's a shit situation, you might as well make the best of it. And that's kind of the way the song got written. But, yeah, so when most people hear that song, they're like, oh, that's such a great song, and it's catchy, or whatever. And then they're like, well, what is it about? And I tell them, oh, it's actually about, alcoholism in the family. And they're like, oh, now I don't want to listen to it.
But a lot of times with the writing process in this band, we just write what's on our hearts and minds. And at the time when we were collabing on it, Hannah was writing a song about alcoholism in the family, and it gelled really, really well together. We were even laughing when we were recording it. We were like, the meaning of the song doesn't necessarily match the feel that it came out with, but we were still really happy with the product, and so far everyone that's listened to it liked it, so we're like, we're going to roll with it.
Talk to people about it, too. They'll come up to the merch table, like I said, and be like, hey, what was that song that had the whoas? And I'll be like, oh, Bottles and Anchors. And they're like, why is it called that? And then I go into this huge, long thing about how it's really actually not a very fun, song, but everybody jumps around and yells to it and sloshes beer on the floor and moshes, and they're all like, okay, I'm just going to pretend like you didn't tell me that.
Well, sometimes, too, as a regional band like ourselves, you only get a 30 or 45-minute set. It's really hard to be like, hey, this song's about alcohol abuse in the family. Even if it's a catchy song, right, it's going to bring the 30-minute set right to the floor. Yeah.
So I know you guys do a couple covers, Shake It Off and Let It Go. There's a lot of bands lately that have been doing a lot of covers. I mean, you guys did a great job covering the song, and the video for Shake It Off was hilarious. So, I mean, I just wanted to get your guys' take on how you feel about cover songs.
Why is pop outselling rock and metal? I don't know the exact answer, but there's obviously something in there that fans around the world are connecting to, and rock and metal, I don't think we shouldn't stay stagnant. We should be aware that all genres change and consumers' interests change, and you're a liar if you haven't heard Taylor Swift's Shake It Off, gotten liquored up at a bar and felt your hips moving a little bit. I'm not even the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but that song is really catchy. There's a reason it's in your head, and you can do a lot of really fun things with it. These are not our first pop covers. We don't have professional recordings, but we've done Lady Gaga, we've done Rolling in the Deep, we probably have 30 minutes of pop covers if we wanted to. And they're a lot of fun. It allows us a chance to, like, for example, on Taylor Swift, that bridge, there's no chords, there's no notes. It's just her doing that kind of half rap thing. That still gives us a chance to write and kind of put our own little twist on it, but it's hard to write an album every month. This way we keep our set list fresh, we keep the fans engaged, and we always laugh when bands go out of state, especially as new as a band like us, here's a new song we wrote. They're all new songs. Nobody's heard of you. Give them something to connect to. I mean, it's one thing when you're Slipknot, okay? Maybe Slipknot shouldn't be playing a ton of covers because we all know all their music.
Well, or Avenged Sevenfold, they have 2 hours of platinum hits, okay? Like, we're a local band. We're stoked if one person sings along with us for one song. And, when you have a crowd of people that you haven't seen before, or you have a crowd of people that isn't into metal because you got thrown on a mixed genre show and it's a bunch of indie pop writers and, acoustic, hey, I love my trees and my pets. And then you get up there and I'm like, actually, I'm going to scream a little. They freak out. And so when you play songs like, Taylor Swift Shake It Off or Let It Go, it brings them in and it kind of eases them off from the, ooh, I don't want to listen to this, to the, oh, maybe I can open up my horizons and maybe other music is good too. it just connects you to a group of people you might not have been able to connect to previously.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Like I said, the video was hilarious, and Hannah, we had talked about it a little bit at the Black Sheep, and you were telling me that you guys kind of just went through Walmart and was picking up stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, I mean, we had ideas. We were like, all right, so we want to do this, blah, blah. And our producer, Martin from No Heart Studios, he's absolutely fantastic. And he is just a silly, we compare him to, was it Dick Nubler? Yeah, Dick Nubler from Metalocalypse. He basically looks exactly like him and acts like him, and it's fantastic. But so he always has these crazy, weird ideas, and is always super enthusiastic about everything. And we were just like, well, I want breakfast. Alan was like, yeah, I want breakfast. So we went to Walmart because it was the closest place when we were, getting ready to do stuff. And then we were like, well, let's hit the toy section. And
Swift has a tutu. I want a tutu.
That's what the thought process was.
We have no shame in this band. None.
No. Well, honestly, too, like, I personally hate bands that are, like, full of themselves, and especially local bands or, regional bands will get there and they don't talk to any of the locals, or they don't talk to anyone, or they act like, if I don't get my case of Coronas, in 5 minutes, I'm going to have a freak out and not play the show. That just is so, it's just such a bad mentality, and I mean, us especially, we are not anywhere near that. We would so much rather sit down, have a beer, talk with people, hang out, do stuff like that, than sit back in the green room and hide from everybody. So we figured if we're going to do a video for basically a cover, but why not make it a parody video, Grab a few of the funny, iconic shots from the thing, and then just be us, be funny, be silly, drink a little bit, have fun. Like, it was a no-brainer to do something crazy and silly like that. And I'm just glad everybody liked it because we look like idiots.
So you guys restart your tour again July 18th, right?
Yeah, that's in Denver. Basically, our tour, quote unquote, never ends. We just we got to come home every few weeks to A, keep the day jobs happy. B, our van is 25 years old. Her name's Jane Judsley, and she's a sweetie, but every now and then she needs repairs. And on our last 4,440-mile trip to the North Carolina coast and back, we realized that the front end on that van needed some help. Mm-hmm. So we purposely scheduled a few weeks off so that I could turn some wrenches and get the van back up to code for this. So the 18th, we're playing Summit Music Hall in Denver, and then the 24th, we're actually back full-time on the road again for a few weeks.
Yeah, I saw you guys had some shows in L.A., right?
Yep.
Yep, we have 2 LA shows, 2 LA shows, and then a show in Sacramento, and then a few shows up in Oregon, and then a show in Montana. And Utah.
And then again, we're home for a few weeks, and then we're back out to Chicago, and then we're home for a few weeks, and then we're playing TopCon in Topeka, which we're super huge nerds in this band, so we're all excited to dress up for the Comic-Con show.
Oh, that would be cool.
We've been arguing, do we want to actually do like a band costume, or do we just each want to do
I think we should do a band costume. It looks so much better.
If we do a band costume, we have to do that.
I completely agree. I will dye my hair. Well, I won't dye my hair. I will fake dye my hair black so I can be Nathan Explosion. I'm so down with this.
There's one Swissgar.
Well, of course you're going to be Swissgar, and we're going to have a sign that says, where's because we don't have a rhythm guitar.
So for, any of the fans out there that, haven't seen you guys, I mean, what are some things that you'd like to say, for
I guess drink whiskey.
Go to a show. Actually have fun.
Yeah, drink whiskey, enjoy a show, occupy your venues, buy merch, enjoy music, dance. Don't just sit there and cross your arms angry because I'll probably just get off the stage and yell at you. I mean,
just too many people go to venues and it's like they limp through it for their own band. You're at a show. Have a good time.
Have a good time. Just like that, drink your whiskey. Get in the car and then go to the venue and then drink your whiskey and then get a DD. That's your goal in life.
Get the cold cock whiskey, right?
Exactly. Preferably cold cock whiskey if it's sold in your area because it is amazing. But if it's not, then Jack Daniels or some other form of not Kentucky Gentleman or bottom
vodka. That's your deal.
Yeah.
Go to a
that's for old ladies on diets. No. Whiskey. Real men drink and women drink whiskey and drink beer. Those are your options.
So you guys, your album's on iTunes, right? You can get it on iTunes and off your website?
I think you can get it everywhere that music's sold, except for Target. iTunes, Spotify, Beats Audio, Rhapsody,
Google Play.
our website. Our website's the only place you can get physical CDs. Mm-hmm. But if you're just looking for the download, I think it's everywhere you could ever get music.
Yeah, and that website, in case you want to know, is scarletcanaryband.com. We're rich enough, we have our own domain name, so suck it.
I really do appreciate your guys' time. And make sure all you guys from Following Metal Recon, that you guys check out Scarlet Canary on YouTube. It's www.scarletcanaryband.com.